Good morning. Hello, Maria. Can you hear me?
Good morning, teacher.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. Wonderful. Tomomi, good morning.
Good morning.
Happy Tuesday. We had one day off extra today this week, right?
Yes.
So you got to relax yesterday. Hopefully you had a nice Memorial Day, relaxing, taking it easy.
Yeah.
Yes, very good, very good. Let's see, here's Jenny. Maria, did you do anything interesting this weekend or just stay home?
No, teacher. In my job, the
Mhm.
owners, I'm working in a party supply, and the owners, they must to close the store,
Okay.
and I help to my boss
Mhm.
to take out all the stuff.
So they're closing the store completely.
Yes.
Oh my, that's too bad.
Yes.
What kind of store is it?
It's a party supply.
Party supplies. Oh
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
Nobody can have parties right now, right?
No. No,
Oh,
it's
that's
hard, and I help my boss because she's very nice with me,
mhm.
and I was working for 10 years.
Oh, and how long was the store open? More than 10 years then, huh?
Yes, I
Oh,
think 12 years.
that's a shame. That's a shame.
Yes,
Well, I guess these days it's very hard for that kind of a business to stay open when
yes.
nobody can have a party, right?
No, no, for a long time, I
Yeah,
think.
Yeah.
probably not too many people having birthday cakes either, huh? To the bakery.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's I'm glad I didn't get married at this time or have a wedding or a baby, because there would be no party, no baptism, no
Nothing.
nothing, right? Oh boy.
Mhm.
Well, maybe by a few more weeks we can get a little bit more businesses that will be open by summer, hopefully.
Yes.
Well, we have 3 weeks to go. 3 weeks. And hopefully we'll be able to cover quite a few things before the end, and then we need to I'm going to give you this weekend, I'm going to give you a practice test, and you can take the practice test and see how you're doing.
Good morning.
Good morning. Welcome, Jenny.
Good
And you'll take the practice
Right.
test and see how
Hi,
you're
good
doing.
morning. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
And then you can decide if you want to take the final test or not. And again, since this is a very strange semester, it's your decision. If you want to stay in the same level, no problem. Or if you want to try a practice test for the next level, that's take a test for the next level, that's no problem too. So I'm going to give you a practice test that I want everybody to take next weekend. I'll give it to you on Thursday.
Okay.
You can take it this weekend and say, am I ready for the next level or not? You can make your own decision. And then if you feel like you're ready, I'll give you the real test, okay? And then if you feel like, I'll just stay at the same level for now, which is fine too, then we can take you to the, there, Jenny disappeared. Then we'll just stay in the same level and you don't have to do the final test. But I want everybody to take the practice test, which I'll give you on Thursday. Okay, sounds good?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, so these last few classes here, it always feels like school is over when Memorial Day is past, right?
Yeah.
but we still have 3 more weeks. That means 6 more classes. 6 more classes. So little by little. So I thought we would study one thing a little bit in each of the 6 classes. So we're not going to have a lot of time left, but we'll have a short lesson on 6 different things. And then hopefully by the end of those 6 lessons, we'll have covered most of the material. Obviously, it's very hard to cover everything in a class that has level 4 and level 5 and level 6 in it. But we did our best this semester anyway. And so let's get started with our verb practice while we're waiting for everybody to arrive this morning. And then we will jump right into our lesson today, and we're going to do a little review of the passive today.
Okay.
Sounds good?
Yeah.
Sounds good. All right, so let's get started with our verb practice. I sent it to you yesterday. It's called 526, which is today, the 26th of May. So here we go. Can everybody see it on the screen?
Yeah.
Yes?
Yes.
Good. All right. Now this first one is something we had at the end of level 3. We have the word after and tomorrow, but we already have will over here, right? So what are we going to say here? After we take the test tomorrow, simple present, right? The next one has the word lately. Remember that one from level 3 as well? Lately is going to be present perfect, isn't it?
Yeah.
So we say, have you seen? Have you seen any good movies lately? The next one, we have nothing in the subject position. So what can we say?
Listening.
Listening, right? Listening to jazz music helps me relax. Excellent. The next one says, next Friday morning, if I don't have to. So what can we say here?
I won't
work, right? I won't work if I don't have to. The next one has there. Remember when we have the word there, we always have to look at the noun. This noun is plural. So should we say there is or there are? There are. Number 6, we have another future time clause, as soon as. So as soon as, and then we have will over here. So we're going to say as soon as I arrive. Simple present. That's right. Number 7 says, if you, an application today, it would probably arrive by tomorrow. This is an imaginary situation, right? Because we have would over here. So what can we say in this section? S-E-N-T, right? Simple past. If you sent the application today, it would probably arrive by tomorrow, hypothetically. All right. The next one is a question about next year. Next year is future. So what can we say? Will Teresa plant, or is Teresa going to plant, right? Oh, grow, sorry. Not plant, grow. All right, is Teresa going to grow any vegetables in her garden next year? The next one has the word try. Should we say try to or try ing? Try to, right. I tried to review. I tried to review my homework before class. Try to review. The next one says on Saturdays. So should we say don't or won't? Don't, right? We don't have class. In general. $11 says ever. Ever sounds like present perfect to me, right?
Yes.
So what can we say? Has Jack ever read any Mexican novels? Has Jack ever read any Mexican novels? Present perfect. Number 12 says, Mr. Carson is excited about. About is a preposition. So after
Yeah.
preposition, we want the gerund, don't we?
Yeah.
So excited about managing
Managing.
the shop by himself. She told her boss, so many personal questions.
Not to ask.
Not to ask, right? We want that infinitive.
Mhm.
We were talking about that last week, weren't we? Where we have the verb, the object, the infinitive. Told her boss not to ask. Verb, object, infinitive. All right, the next one is about tomorrow. So what can we say for tomorrow?
Will you?
Will you pack, right? Will you pack, or are you going to pack for your trip tomorrow or on Friday? Will you? What about the word rarely? Simple present, I think, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Bobby rarely
Goes.
goes anywhere without his older brother. Rarely goes. Number 16, I new clothes very often, not very often.
Mm-hmm.
Should I say I'm not, I don't, or I haven't?
I don't.
I don't, right. I don't buy new clothes very often in general. Now this one, we have to read carefully. We have already, so that's usually perfect, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if we look over here, we have a past when you saw him. So do we want to say has or had?
Not.
Had, right. Had Bill already finished his homework when you saw him? Because we have two past tense actions, right? Two past tense actions. So had finished. Now this one is one you were talking mostly with Miss Aguirre about.
Mm-hmm.
Over here it says could have stopped, right? Could have stopped. So what do we want to?
If Thomas hadn't been.
Hadn't been. If he hadn't been at home yesterday, he could have stopped the fire. Right. We needed him, but he wasn't there. All right. The next one says it costs a lot of money. It costs. Whenever we have that it in front, what do we have in the back?
To fly.
To fly, right, the infinitive. It costs a lot of money to fly first class. Okay. Good morning, Alejandra.
Good morning.
All right. The next one, number 20, says for 10 years. For 10 years, something hasn't happened, right? So I
haven't painted.
I haven't painted, right? I haven't painted my house for 10 years. Maybe I will paint it next year, but I haven't painted it for 10 years. All right. The next one says Mark and Tom's hobby is. Remember what this is what we call a predicate noun, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what can we say here? His hobby is, or their hobby is?
Playing.
To play.
Either one, right? Playing or to play. Right? With predicate noun, we can use gerund or infinitive, no problem. Usually, if I use something in general, I'll use a gerund. And if I have something in the future, I'll use infinitive. But they're both okay. So for example, my hobby is swimming. My plan is to swim tomorrow. Right? So it's usually like that, but both are acceptable. The next one says at the moment. At the moment means now, so what can we say?
Is the
doctor
Is the doctor treating any patients at the moment? Treating. Next one. Next week, Frank plans what?
To begin.
To begin.
Begin.
The next one says, the teacher asked the students what?
Not to use.
Not to use.
Not to use.
Oops. Not to use their dictionaries during the test. And finally, we have when he hurt his back. When he hurt his back, what was he doing?
Was cutting.
Was cutting.
Was cutting wood when he hurt his back, right? Past continuous for an action in progress at a certain moment in the past.
Mhm.
All right. Good. So that's done. All right. My 4 students today. Yay.
Only
Yay.
4?
Only 4. Everybody is tired from the barbecue party yesterday.
Yeah.
They were out in the sun eating the carne asada in the backyard, and now they're tired. All right. Well, anyway, we're here, so we're going to keep learning no matter who's here. So today we're going to do a quick review of passive voice. We haven't had passive voice in this semester yet. The last time we talked about passive voice was probably back in January, maybe. So we haven't talked about it for a while. So it's worth doing a quick review of passive, and I want to practice all of the verbs with passive. We talked a little bit about passive last week when we were talking about the passive with the causative, right? For example, I had my hair cut. I got my nails done. I had the dishwasher repaired, right? That was a kind of a passive, but it was called causative passive. Now we're just going to look at the basic passive and look at all of the different verbs today. Remember, passive is always going to include one of the be verbs, but we'll talk about all of them together, okay? All right, so let's get started here, and let me turn on my little presentation slides here, if I can find them. Donde está? Let's see, where are they? Oh, there they are. Okay. All right. Current slide, there we go. All right. Does everybody see the slide? Passive
Yes.
voice using
Yes.
more complicated tenses with passive?
Yes.
All right, let's talk a little bit about passive today. Little review. Like I said, for those of you who are just joining us, since we have only 6 days left with me anyway, I'm going to have a little short lesson about different things every day, and then at the end of these next 3 weeks, we'll hopefully have covered most of the things that we need to cover in our lessons. All right, but let's talk about passive today. All right. Remember, we have already learned that when we use passive voice, we want to focus on the object instead of the subject, right? We always put the object instead of the subject as the focus. So, for example, active voice would be, John sold the most hot dogs, right? The focus is on the guy, John. But sometimes I want to focus on the hot dogs. So what do? I use passive voice, right? The most hot dogs were sold by John, right? Active voice, the person is the subject. Passive voice, the hot dogs are the subject. The zookeeper feeds the animals every day, right? That's an active voice sentence. But maybe I want to focus, instead of the zookeeper, I want to focus on the animals. So I'd use a passive voice sentence. The animals are fed every afternoon, right? Feeds is active. Are fed is passive. right? And I think the video that I sent you was mostly about simple present passive, changing an active to a passive. Remember, with our basic tenses, we always use am, is, are, was, were, and be. Will be, can be, should be, might be, may be. Right? Here's our simple present, right? Dishes are washed after every meal. Simple present with the be verb. Are washed. Notice it's our past participle here. ED. The mail is delivered every afternoon. Be verb, past participle. The patient was given an injection. Again, be verb and past participle, given. These tamales were made by my mother. Again, passive with be verb. Were made. Your car will be repaired by the end of the day. Simple future, will be. So, am, is, are, was, were, and will be. All are passive. Now, let's look at it a little more closely. Changing active to passive. And my level 5s and level 6s, you've had these lessons before many times. Remember, 4 steps to make a passive. Number 1, put the object into the subject position. That's in front of the verb. Number 2, add the be verb in the proper form. The be verb in the proper form. All right. The next one, change the action verb to the past participle. For example, done, taken, eaten, spoken, broken. And add by and the original subject. That's an optional step. So let's look at one example very carefully. Here we have an active sentence. Henry drew the picture. Here we have the passive version of the same thing. But let's look at each of the steps one by one. Step number 1, what did I do? Right here. I took the object and I put it in the subject. Step 2, what did I do? I added this be verb. I added the word was because it's a past tense verb. Step 3, what happened? I took this verb drew and I changed it to drawn. Right? I changed drew, simple past, to drawn, past participle. I always use past participle in my passive. And finally, I took Henry, good old Henry, from the front, and I put him at the back. And I added the word by. So Henry drew the picture, active. The picture was drawn by Henry, passive. Active and passive. All right, so far so good? Any questions so far? Feeling good? This is all a review for my 5s and 6s, right?
Yes.
Yeah, sure. All right, reasons to use the passive. Why would we use passive anyway, right? Passive is not just a little trick. It's most of the time, in fact, we don't want to use passive. In fact, many times if you're like in high school and you're writing and you use a passive, your teacher will say, correct this, use active voice, right? Active voice is most of the time better. So we use active voice like 90% of the time. But sometimes passive is better. When do we use passive? Well, number 1, when the person doing the action is not known. For example, oh no, my bicycle was stolen. Who did it? I don't know. Now, of course, I could say somebody stole my bicycle. But if I don't know who did it, I usually use a passive. My bicycle was stolen. When the person doing the action is obvious. For example, my mail is usually delivered at 2 o'clock, or the package was delivered, etc., etc. Right? It's obvious. Who did it? The mailman. I don't have to mention him as the subject of the sentence. When the person doing the action is not important. For example, this blouse was made in Italy. By who? Not important. Not important. But the important part is it was made in Italy. When the action applies to all people. When it's for everybody. Textbooks can be bought at the student store. Right? Not by anybody in particular, by anybody. Everybody can do it. Right? So it's a focus on the thing and not the action. Right? The thing is the focus, the bicycle, the mail, the blouse, the textbooks. 90% of the time in passive, the subject is something. All right, now let's look at the more complicated tenses, right? The basic tenses are what? Am, is, are, was, were, will be, right? So my mail is delivered every day. The mail was delivered yesterday, and the mail will be delivered again tomorrow. Is, was, will be, right? But now let's look at the more complicated verbs. Present perfect. These are more complicated because we have two auxiliary verbs, not just one, right? What do we use in present perfect? Have or has plus been plus past participle. Have or has plus been plus past participle. Example, has the copy machine been repaired yet? Right? I got to get that been in there to make it past participle. The windows haven't been washed for a long time. Again, we need that been. The been makes it passive. Don't worry, the kitchen floor has already been swept. Passive. Some of the rules have been changed recently. Be past participle. Have been. The patient has just been released from the hospital. Has just been. Right? The been is what makes it passive. Remember, with present perfect, you can use been for two reasons. I can use been for continuous. I've been working hard today. But I can also use been for passive. I've been invited to the party. Right? So past participle and been. That's going to be present perfect passive. Be careful. Since they both use the past participle, it is sometimes easy to confuse active and passive in present perfect. But they're very different. Example, the kids have eaten. Right? What does that mean? They're not hungry anymore. Right? Their plates are clean. They ate everything. They're not hungry anymore. The kids have eaten. The kids have been eaten. Uh-oh, you're saying something very different, right? By a hungry lion. Oh my goodness. That's terrible, right? So if you say have been, you're saying something very, very different than if you say have, right? The kids have eaten, normal, ordinary sentence. The kids have been eaten is a very horrible tragedy, right? So be careful, be careful. Have eaten, have been eaten. Very, very different. Very, very different. What about past perfect? Well, past perfect, we know all we have to do is change one word, right? We change have or has to had. Have or has changes to had. So, had been, past participle. By the time I got home, dinner had already been prepared. A cafe was robbed last night. Simple past. It had never been robbed before. Past perfect. The bicycle was very rusty. Everybody know that word rusty?
Mm,
Yes.
yes.
Rusty is when there's oxidation, right?
Mm-hmm.
Rusty. It hadn't been used in a long time. It hadn't been used in a long time. Hadn't been used. I checked online, but the grades hadn't been posted yet. The grades hadn't been posted yet. Again, so all we're doing is changing have or has to had, right? Had been past participle. Had been past participle. Now, what about continuous verbs? Well, continuous verbs, we're not going to use been. We're going to use being. B-E-I-N-G. Right? Being. B-E-I-N-G. And notice the pronunciation. Have been. Present perfect. Being. Gerund.
Mm,
Or in this case, continuous. Don't worry, your car is being repaired right now. Is being repaired. These houses are being torn down to build a new school. Are being, present continuous passive. I'm nervous. I'm being observed by my supervisor today. I'm being observed. Present continuous passive. The office was being painted when I arrived. Was being painted. While the cookies were being baked, I read a magazine. Were being baked. So the last two are past continuous, and the first three are present continuous. So am, is, are, was, were, and being. That's what makes it continuous, the being. All right, are you ready for some practice?
yes.
Why not? The more you practice, the better you get. That's what it says right here. The more you practice, the better you get. All right, so can you change an active sentence to a passive? Let's do a few examples, and then we'll practice some more together. Example, the housekeeper has made the beds. All right, so how could we make passive there? The beds, what?
The bed
Bed
has been
has
made
been
by the
made
housekeeper.
by the
Exactly.
housekeeper.
The beds have been made by the housekeeper. Do you see how I had to change it from has to have?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Housekeeper is singular, so I said has. But beds are plural, so I said have. All right, and of course, been past participle. This next one is present continuous, right? We are painting the house now. We are painting the house now. So what can we say? The house
The house is painted.
Is
Good.
being
We need
Now.
three words, right? Is
Is
Being
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 painted.
painted. There we go. The house is being painted now. By us, but you don't really need to say it. Is being painted. Present, continuous, passive. The vendor hasn't sold all the hot dogs yet. I was thinking a lot about hot dogs when I was writing this story. I must have been very hungry when I was writing this. All right,
Yes.
the vendor hasn't sold all the hot dogs. So what can we say? All the hot dogs.
All the hot
all
dogs
the hot dogs
haven't been sold.
That's
But
right. All
by
the
the
hot
vendor.
dogs haven't been sold yet. By the vendor, you could say by the vendor if you like. And I notice I need a period there. Let me fix that right now. Period. Okay. And let's go back to, okay. All right, so we did the first one, we did the second one, we did the third one. Okay. Okay, all the hot dogs haven't been sold yet. Carlos is preparing the sandwiches. Carlos is preparing the sandwiches. What can we say for that one?
The
Yeah,
The
sandwiches
sandwiches
are
is being prepared by
by
Carlos.
Exactly. The sandwiches are being prepared by Carlos. The sandwiches are being prepared. So notice in number 1 and number 3, we use been because it's present perfect.
Sandwiches is plural.
In number 2 and number 4, we used being because it's continuous. Okay? All right. Let's try some more. Manny isn't washing the dishes now. That's present continuous negative. Present continuous negative. So what could we say for this one? The dishes
the dishes aren't
The dishes
being
are
being
being washed
so are not
now.
are done.
being
Are done.
washed, right?
Washed. The dishes
Aren't
are not
being
washed.
washed. It's a present continuous
Mhm.
passive in negative. A present continuous passive in negative. Aren't being washed. Has anyone found the missing laptop? This is a question, right? A question. What can we do about the questions?
Sería the Mrs.
Well, let's keep it a
Mrs.
question. So we're going to
laptop.
start with has still. Has
the missing laptop.
has the missing
Has
laptop
the Mr. been found anyone?
been found by anyone or just been found? Has the missing laptop been found? Has the missing laptop been found? Present perfect question. Present perfect question. Miguel was washing the van at noon today. Miguel was washing the van at noon today. Past continuous, right? So what can we say for this one? The van
was being washed at noon today.
The van was being washed at noon today. Was being washed. Was being washed. Present, past continuous passive. Past continuous passive. Was being washed. When Alex got when I got home, Alex had already put away the toys. When I got home, Alex had already put away the toys. That's past perfect. What can we do with this one?
The toys
had already been put by Alex.
Already being put.
No. The toys.
Right? When I got home, the toys had already been put away by Alex. Right? Or you could put when I got home at the end. It doesn't matter, right? Because that's a separate clause. Yeah. The when I got home doesn't matter. Right? So you can put it at first or put it second. But the key point is the toys had already been put away
by
by
Alex.
Alex.
Oh,
Had already been put away. Okay? No problems?
No problem.
No problem. All right, excellent. So now that the passive has been explained to you, is it being used correctly by you? I wonder. All right, nope. Let's go back to our main screen here. Oh, good morning, Jareen. I didn't see you come in. Hello.
Good morning.
Good morning, everybody. All right, are you ready for some more practice?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, good. We're going to practice with my magic hat.
Okay.
In my magic hat, I have many pieces of paper. Okay? Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a time and we're going to make a sentence with that time. And then we're going to change that sentence to a passive. So we're going to use some pictures to help us make some sentences. All right. Can everybody see these pictures?
Yes.
Yes.
See the family buying groceries there, right?
Mhm.
So let me give you an example. Let's see. The first time I have says, at the present time.
Okay.
At the present time. So, for example, I could say, at the present time, the family is buying groceries, right? But we also want to change it into passive, right? So how do we make passive with at the present time? At the present time,
The
the
groceries
groceries
The
are
groceries are
being
being
bought
bought.
by the family.
exact, right. At the present time, the groceries are being bought. Okay, got the idea?
Yes.
So one student will make active and the other student will make passive. Okay, so we can compare the two. All right, so let's go to a new picture here. Cooking dinner. All right, let me take a time here.
I need to leave now.
Oh, okay. All right, we'll see you later.
Yes.
All right, let's start with Alejandra. I have 3 times a week. 3 times a week.
Okay.
So what can
Yeah,
we say?
she cooks 3 times a week.
She cooks dinner 3 times a week. All right. And Tomomi, make that into passive.
The dinner is cooked 3 times a week.
Right. She cooks dinner 3 times a week. Dinner is cooked 3 times a week. All right. All right. Now this one time, Tomomi, make the active.
Okay.
All right. Okay. Let me see. How about at the moment?
The man is cutting the grass. Is
A man is cutting the grass at the moment. Okay. Maria Polito, can you make passive?
yes. The grass is being cutting by men.
The grass is being cut, right?
Uh-huh.
Is being cut, right? At the moment, the man is cutting the grass. At the moment, the grass is being cut. Okay, good. All right. Maria Polito, give me the active for the next action. Oh, dancing we can't use because that's not a transitive verb. So we'll skip over that one. Go to the next action here. There we go. Okay. All right. The time is not yet. Do you see these backwards or forwards? Are these words backwards or forwards?
Backwards.
Backwards. You can't.
Backwards.
I should show you like this. Not yet. There we go. Not yet. Okay. All right. So, not yet. Maria Polito, make a sentence.
She hasn't already drink coffee.
No, but we want to say not yet. So she hasn't drunk.
Coffee yet.
She hasn't drunk coffee yet. All right. And Jareen, can you make a passive?
Coffee hasn't drunk yet.
But don't forget the been, right? The coffee hasn't been drunk yet. Yeah, we need that been to make it passive, right? Remember, she hasn't drunk, active. The coffee hasn't been drunk, passive. All right, let's see. And I guess we only have 4 students. So Jareen, you're gonna do the active this time, okay?
Mhm.
All right. How about with can?
And
So what do you say? The boy
can feed the cat.
can feed the cat. And Alejandra?
Okay. The cat can fed by the boy.
Can be fed. Don't forget that be, right? Remember with our modals, we need the be. So the boy can feed the cat. That's active. The cat can be fed. That's passive, right?
Oh, I need to use being when use the modal too?
Yep. Be is with modals and will, right?
Okay.
Okay. All right. Let's see. All right.
Okay.
Let's see. How about every day?
Okay. She signs or she listens the music every day.
She listens to music every day. All right. Tomomi, make a passive.
The music is listened every day.
Is listened to. Don't forget your preposition, right?
Listen to.
The music is listened to every day. Mm-hmm. All right. The next one. Okay. Let's see. We already had feed. Have a party. We usually don't use passive. Clean the house. Here we go. How about often?
Often. They often clean the room.
Simple present, sure. They often clean the room. Maria Polito, make passive.
Okay. The room was being cleaned by day.
But we want to use the word often,
Oh,
right? Often.
mhm. The room
So it's simple present, right? Often. So what do we say? The room, should we use is or was or will be?
is
So the room is often
cleaned
cleaned. Mm-hmm.
by
Punto.
day.
Yeah, I could say by them, but I don't have to,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
Right. So the room is often cleaned. The room is often cleaned. Oh, that's a nice bedroom. I would like that bedroom. A lot of room, beautiful plants. That's a nice room. I'm getting jealous of that family. All right. The next one. Let's see. Maria Polito. Make a sentence with should.
I don't know, how do you say papalote?
Papalote is kite.
Kite, okay. The boy is playing with
But we want to use the word should.
should. The boy should play with the sky.
We say should fly a kite, right? The boy should fly a kite.
Should fly a kite.
The boy should fly.
Can you spell that kite?
K-I-T-E.
K-I.
It looks like kite if you had Spanglish, right? Kite, kite.
Okay.
Yeah, so the boy should fly a kite. All right, Jareen, can you make passive? The kite.
The kite should be flown by the boy.
The kite should be flown by the boy. Very good. Should be flown.
Flown.
All right. Okay. Next one, Jareen. This one says tomorrow. Oops, tomorrow.
They will do laundry tomorrow.
They will do laundry tomorrow. All right. Alejandra, change to passive.
Okay. The laundry will be watched tomorrow.
Or will be done tomorrow, or either way.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah, usually we say wash the clothes, do the laundry, right? Wash the clothes, do the laundry. So the laundry will be done tomorrow, or the clothes will be washed tomorrow. All right, good. All right. How about Alejandra? Make a sentence
Yes.
for yesterday.
Okay. She read the book yesterday.
Okay. And Tomomi, passive, please.
The book was read yesterday.
Fantastic. You guys know it. All right. Let's see. Tomomi, how about last night?
Last night, the boy cooked cookie last night.
Yeah, usually we say either baked cookies or made cookies.
Made. Okay.
Yeah, made cookies. The boy made cookies last night. All right. Maria Polito, can you make passive?
Yes.
The boy made cookies
boy-
last night. So the
The
cookies,
boy made cookies. The cookies was being made by the boy last night.
do we need the being?
Was made.
Yes.
No, just were made, right? The cookies
okay.
were made last night.
Mm,
These cookies were made last night. All right. All right. Maria Polito,
mhm.
what about the word sometimes?
Sometimes. The guys sometimes talk in the yard.
Yeah, but we can't use a passive in that one, so we're going to skip it. All right. All right, here we go. Dishes washing. Okay. All right, Maria Polito, I'm going to make you do another one.
Okay.
1 hour
Okay.
ago.
Okay. The little boy was washing the dishes. I can see it.
1 hour ago.
The little boy washing the dishes 1 hour ago.
Okay, Jareen, can you make it passive?
Washing. No, the dishes were washed by the boy.
Washed, right? Yeah, the dishes were washed by the boy 1 hour ago. Good. All right. Jareen, how about the word may?
May.
Oro.
She may plant the flower.
She may plant the flowers. All right. And Alejandra, make an active.
The flowers may be planted by the women.
The flowers may be planted, right? The flowers may be planted. All right. Let's see. All right. Already. So what can we say? The boys?
Already, okay. The boys have already played baseball.
We'll say the baseball game. Yeah.
The baseball game.
The boys have already played the baseball game. All right. And Tomomi, passive, the game.
A baseball game has already been played.
Very good. The
Already.
baseball game has already been played. The game has already been played. All right. Let's see. Next one. All right. All right. How about must?
He must play piano.
Yeah, the boy must play the piano. All right. And Maria Polito, make a passive.
The piano was.
But we're using must this time. Must.
The
So
piano must be played by him.
the piano must be played. Right. Good. All right. The next one. The word is now. Maria Polito?
Yes. She's now take a riding
Now
bicycle.
she is riding the bicycle, right?
She's right.
Yeah. So right now she is riding the bicycle. Okay. All right. And Jareen, how do you make present continuous passive?
Bicycle is being like
Don't forget your past participle. Is being
right or lit.
ridden.
Ridden.
Ride, rode, ridden, right? So the bicycle is being ridden now, right? The girl is riding the bicycle. The bicycle is being ridden. Good. All right, next verb. Let's see, sing was intransitive, sleep is intransitive, pizza, okay. All right, how about the word soon, Jareen, soon?
The girl will be eat pizza soon.
We'll eat, right? We'll eat. The girl will eat the pizza soon. All right, and Alejandra, passive?
The pizza will be eaten soon by the girl.
Eaten, right?
Oh, sí, eaten.
Yeah, the pizza will be eaten soon. Okay. Let's see, let's study, let's skip that one, swim, let's skip that one. Take a test, all right, take a test. All right. All right, how about this one for Alejandra? 3 days ago.
Okay, the students took the test 3 days ago.
The students took the test 3 days ago. And passive, Tomomi?
The test was taken 3 days ago.
The test was taken 3 days ago. Fantastic. All right. All right, this is send the text. Send the text, okay? And we're going to use still with negative.
Negative. She is not. No,
She still hasn't.
She still hasn't text.
Sent the text.
Sent the text.
Yeah, she still hasn't sent the text. All right, and Maria Polito, can you make a passive? The text?
The test hasn't been
sent. Right? Right. So the text hasn't been sent. Okay, good. All right. Okay, we have used the computer. Use the computer. All right. So Maria Polito, what about last night?
She used the computer last night.
Simple past, right? And Jareen, passive?
Last night, right?
Yeah.
The computer was used last night.
The computer was used last night. Very good. All right. Let's see, we have playing video games and the time right now. So make an active sentence, Jareen.
They are playing the game right now.
They're playing video games right now. Okay, and Alejandra, passive?
Okay, the game is being played right now by the boys.
Right, they are playing the video games now, and the video game is being played now. All right, good. All right, volunteer is an intransitive verb, so we're going to skip over it. Okay, watch the TV program. All right, what about next week?
Okay. They will watch the program next week.
They will watch the program next week. And Tomomi, passive?
The program will be watched. Will be watched
Next week.
next week.
All right, and we're back. I think work is intransitive, so we're going to skip that. And we're back to groceries. Okay, good job. No problem, everybody?
Think so.
No.
A little bit.
A little bit, not too bad. Not too bad. Very good, very good. All right, good. We're going to do a little reading today, okay?
Okay.
Now, if you have do you feel good about passive? It's just a review, right?
Yes.
Yeah, we've studied passive muchos veces, as they say in Spanish, right?
Yes.
So it was just a review tonight. So look it over, and I'll give you a little practice to do online. But just look it over. I don't think we need to study it for many lessons. I think we know passive pretty well. I just wanted to review it to make sure everybody remembers. We're going to do a little reading from the transitions book. Do you have a transitions book with you?
Yes.
No.
If you don't panic, because I will put it on the screen.
Okay.
But if you have one, oops. If you have one, open it up, please. Otherwise, I'm going to put it on the screen. And okay, all right. Let me find it here. Got a lot of things I've got to move around here to open up that screen. Okay, get rid of that, get rid of that, get rid of that, get rid of that. Okay. ¿Dónde está? Okay. Right over here. There it is. Hiding from me. Okay. So it's your Ventures Transitions book. And open it up. If we can. I'm waiting for the book to open up here. Okay, there it is. Okay. All right. It's page 105. 105 in your Ventures Transitions book, if you have one. If you don't have one, I'm getting it all ready to go on the page here. Okay, screen share. Page 105. It says the dangers of too much self-confidence. Most people don't have enough self-confidence, right? But it's also possible to have too much. Okay, can everybody see it on the screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Tomomi, no problem?
Yes. Yes.
Alejandra, Maria,
Yes.
Jareen? Okay, so let's read it paragraph by paragraph. Talk about the vocabulary, and then we'll discuss the story a little bit. I'm gonna, yeah, in this, like I said, in these last 3 weeks, I don't want to go too crazy on grammar. I want to do more reading and discussion in these last 3 weeks because it's been a crazy year, right? We don't want to go beat the grammar all the way into the ground. Okay, let's see. Tomomi, could I have you read the first paragraph for me, please?
Okay. Dangers of too much self-confidence. A lack of self-confidence or self-esteem is generally viewed negatively. Humans beings are social creatures. A lack of self-confidence removes opportunities such as meeting new people or advancing professionally. However, self-confidence is a double-edged sword. Too much self-confidence can be just as problematic.
All right, very good. Okay, a couple of vocabulary words in this first paragraph that I want to check and make sure we know. A lack of self-confidence. Remember that word lack?
Yes,
Lack means what?
not enough.
When is
Not enough, right? When you have an
Mhm.
insufficient
Not enough.
amount, right?
Not enough.
And notice this the sentence here. It says a lack of self-confidence, comma, or self-esteem, right? This is something that I want you to notice when you're reading.
Mhm.
Whenever you have comma or, what you're seeing is another noun that means the same thing as the first noun, right? A lack of self-confidence, comma, or self-esteem, right? Whenever you have noun, comma, or noun, that comma is very important, because that comma means this is another name for the thing I just said. It's like a definition. So when you see that, you say, aha, they're giving me another name for this first thing. So self-confidence and self-esteem are más o menos the same thing, right? Más o menos. All right, and there's a passive right here, right? Is generally viewed negatively. There's a passive right away. See that passive? Is
Yes.
viewed.
Yes.
All right, and then it says, human beings are social creatures. A lack of self-confidence removes opportunities, comma, such as. Remember, when you have such as, what comes after such as? Such
It's a
as
noun. Noun.
nouns, but they are examples, right? After such as is always going to be examples. In this case, you're right, it's a gerund, such as meeting people or advancing professionally. Now, however, you were just practicing however with Miss Aguirre, right?
Yes.
Remember, however is one of our transition words. And then it says, however, self-confidence is a double-edged sword. What does that mean? A double-edged sword. Well, everybody knows what a sword is, right?
Yes.
And a double-edged sword
What?
is a sword that's sharp on two sides, right? So anything that we call a double-edged sword is something that has two potential problems, right? So for example, a perfect example of a double-edged sword is this big debate about whether or not to open up stores and churches and all these things, right? It's a double-edged sword, because if you do it too quickly, people could get sick, right? But if you do it too late, people could lose their jobs and income and have a big economic problem. So no matter what you do, you're going to have a problem, right? So that's what it says here. Too much self-confidence is a problem. Too little self-confidence is a problem, right? If it's too much, it's a problem. If it's too little, it's a problem. That's what we call a double-edged sword, right? Where the problem is in two directions. So when a lot of times people will say it's a double-edged sword, meaning it's a problem in two different ways, right? It's not only a problem of too little. It can also be a problem of too much, right? All right. Let's see. Alejandra, could you read the second paragraph for me?
Yes. Some people with an overabundance of self-confidence are convinced that their perspective is better than the perspective of others. This can lead to conflict. Say, for example, a team trying to decide what information to include in a short presentation. One member, confident that everything is relevant to the project, insists everything be included, although others counter that the time allotted for the presentation is too short to include everything. The overly confident team member stubbornly continues to impose her point of view. Being so confident in this context negates valuable input that others can contribute to the presentation.
Okay. So here, this is an example of when overconfidence is a problem, right? Right? And when they say, here's a vocabulary word in this first line that we might not know. Overabundance. In Spanish, do you have the word abundant?
Yes.
Yes.
Abundant means what? When you have a lot
Abundance.
of something,
lot.
right?
Mhm.
Yeah. Have you heard this word before, Tomomi? Abundant?
No,
Abundant means a lot.
a lot.
So for example, if you say we have an abundance of vegetables, means we have a lot of vegetables, right?
Okay.
But here we say overabundant. Overabundant means not just a lot, too much, right?
Too much.
Too much, right? For example, one of the problems with the coronavirus is there's an overabundance of some products because people are not going to restaurants, right? There's an overabundance of milk right now, right? Because people are not going to restaurants and buying milk. So there's lots and lots of milk and nobody knows what to do with it. So they're just throwing it on the ground because milk, you cannot keep milk forever, right? There's an overabundance of milk. There's too much milk right now. So what does it say? This can lead to a conflict, right? So, and here's the example they give. A team trying to decide what information to include in the short presentation. So what's the problem? Miss Confidence says, let's include everything, right? Everything is relevant. Do we all know this word relevant? Do you have that in
Yes.
Spanish?
Yes, it's the same.
Yeah. Have you heard this word before, Tomomi? Relevant?
No.
Yeah.
No, I don't know.
Relevant means important to what we're talking about, right? So, for example, if we are talking about passive, and somebody asks me a question about embedded questions, I would say, well, that's a good question, but it's not relevant. You see, relevant means about what the topic is, right? That's called relevant.
Okay.
Right? So one member thinks that everything is relevant to the project and insists everything be included. Do you see this subjunctive here, everybody?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Remember subjunctive?
Yes.
Mhm.
We talked about last week, didn't we?
Sí.
Mm-hmm.
Base verb, right?
Mm-hmm.
Insists everything be included. There's a passive subjunctive. A lot of crazy vocabulary in here, right? Although, here's that word you were practicing with Miss Aguirre last week, right?
Mm-hmm.
Although others counter that the time allotted is too short to include everything. Okay, here's a couple more words. Although others counter. What does that mean, counter? Can you understand the word counter?
Yes.
let me go to the board for just a second, because this is a little bit of a tricky expression.
Other counters are similar to other participants or
No. Counter is a verb here.
Oh. Mm.
Right? To counter is to make an opposite claim or a different claim.
Mm.
So if any of you have to buy a house, have any of you bought a house before?
What?
So, for example, we offered, just as an example, $500,000 for the house. The owner countered with right? So to counter is when you say something different than what somebody else said.
Mm.
So for example, I'll give you $500,000 for that house. Give me $525,000. It's like when you negotiate, right?
Mm.
You have an offer and a counter offer, an argument and a counter argument.
you say the opponent.
Yeah, to say something different from what somebody else said. Right? To make an argument is to counter. So it says here, the others counter that the time allotted is too short. The others counter. See where it says here, counter? Others counter. Others say something different. When you say something different, you counter what the other person says. So others counter that the time allotted. How about this word, allotted? Have we heard this word before? Allotted, the time allotted. Allotted is a very fancy way to say given. So for example, everyone was allotted 10 minutes for the presentation. Everyone was given 10 minutes. Right? Allotted, given. So the time given for the presentation is too short to include everything. The overly confident member stubbornly continues to impose her point of view. Stubborn. Have we heard that word before? Stubborn. He is so stubborn. Have we heard that one before? Stubborn?
Yeah.
What is a stubborn person, Tomomi?
I can't explain.
A stubborn person will not change their mind, right? A stubborn person makes one decision and then never changes, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't tell them anything. They will not change, right? They say, no, this is the way it's going to be, right? So like, for example, think of the little baby and the mother is trying to get the baby to eat the vegetables. Say, try your vegetables, eat your vegetables. Tomomi, get ready for this. It's coming, right? And the baby says, no, I don't want those vegetables. right? Alejandra, does that sound familiar?
Yes.
Very familiar, right?
Yeah.
Right? Yes. So, sometimes the little kids don't want to eat those vegetables. They're very stubborn. You say, no, it's delicious. No, it's good for you. No, try it. No, right? They're very stubborn. They won't change. They won't change. So that's what's happening with this overly confident team member. He's being very stubborn. He's not changing his mind. And it says, the overly confident team member stubbornly continues to impose her point of view. Being so confident, there's your gerund subject, right? In this context, negates the valuable input of others, right? Do you see this word negate? Can you guess what it means?
Yes.
Okay.
Negate comes from negative, right?
Yes.
So if I negate what you say, I don't listen. I don't listen. I can't. It's like cancel, right? He canceled the input of the other people. All right, good. Let's go to the next paragraph. Maria Pulido. Try the next one, please. Paragraph that begins with behavior.
Behaviors such as that described above can cause another problem with excess self-confidence, poor interpersonal relationships. Overconfidence can result in not listening to other people's opinions, causing others to perceive the person as having a sense of superiority or an overinflated ego. An outcome of being exposed to such behavior can be that the willingness of colleagues to work with such a person again will diminish dramatically. Moreover, in a work setting, management may avoid promoting employees who exhibit such a behavior to higher positions that require working with others regularly.
Okay, good. And more vocabulary here. This is a pretty difficult article, right?
Yes.
There's a lot of vocabulary words here that are a little bit tricky. Okay, it says here that you could have poor interpersonal relationships, and overconfidence can result in not listening to people's opinions and having a sense of superiority or an overinflated ego. An overinflated ego. What do you think is a person with an overinflated ego?
When
The people
more than another
feeling is better more than others.
Exactly. When people think they are better than other people, right? When people think they are better than other people. Do we know this word inflate?
Yes.
Yes.
Blow out.
Yeah.
Blow out.
Well, inflate is what you do to your tires, right, on your car.
Yeah.
You inflate your tires, right? But if you put too much air in your tire, what do you say? You say, my tire is overinflated, right? There's too much in there. An overinflated ego is somebody who thinks too much of themselves, right? And it says that an outcome of being supposed to such behavior is that the willingness of colleagues to work with a person will diminish dramatically. Okay, so what's a more simple way to say that? If somebody has a big ego, do people want to work with that person or don't want to work with that person?
No want to work.
Don't want to work with that person, exactly. Right? If somebody has a big ego, nobody wants to work with him, right? Nobody wants to work with him, right? Yeah, sometimes there is another teacher who has a big ego and thinks everything they say is correct, and everybody else goes, oh, I don't want to work with this guy. Let's see. So the willingness of colleagues to work with the person will diminish dramatically. Diminish means go down, right? Go down. Diminish. Okay. Moreover. We've talked about this word before, right? Moreover. Do you remember moreover? It's like a fancy way to say and. Right. It's a fancy way to say and. Right? Furthermore, moreover, and. And then what does it say? Management may avoid promoting employees who exhibit such behavior to higher positions that require working with others regularly. So maybe you won't get a promotion. Maybe you won't get a promotion. All right, let's see. Jareen, are you still there?
Yes.
Okay, good. All right, the next vocabulary word is paragraph begins with a tendency.
A tendency should be verb aorist defensive is another potential behavior of some individual with much self-esteem according to study by Kernes, Lecky, and Hubner. Based on their interviews of 100 undergraduates, they conclude that there is difference in behavior between those with high self-esteem that is susceptible and those
Stable.
stable, and whose high self-esteem is
Fragile.
When another disagrees with someone who high self-esteem is fragile. The person may become defensive, such as by blaming or making excuses. If the team in the example given above consents to the dominant person's viewpoints and the presentation is not well received, the self-confident person who is better may become overly defensive and accuse other team members for their failed presentation.
Very good. All right. Let's see. Couple vocabulary words here. Tendency. Tendency, I think, is a very similar word in Spanish, right, Alejandra?
Yes, yes.
Tomomi and Jareen, do you know this word, tendency?
No.
If you have a tendency to do something, it means that's your habit. You don't always do it, but it's your habit, right? So the people who have too much self-esteem are verbally defensive, right? What does it mean when you are defensive? What's an example of being defensive? They give some examples down here, right? Blaming others and making excuses. Yeah, so when somebody is defensive, they say, it's not my problem, I didn't do it, I blame Alejandra. No, it's Tomomi who's the problem. No, I think Maria Polito didn't do her job, right? When you always blame the other person. Everybody know that word, blame? Don't blame me, right? Don't blame me, I didn't do it, right? So if someone has too much self-esteem, when somebody, they can't take criticism, like maybe the president, right?
Yes.
This is Donald Trump should read this article. I tell you, this is written for him. If ever there was a man with too much self-esteem,
Yes.
too much confidence,
Extra.
it's the Donald president. Yes, he has too much confidence, right? He needs more humility, right?
Yes.
So So when somebody says, hey, you did something wrong, you don't say, oh, that's a good point. Thank you. I'll try to do better next time. No, he says, oh, it wasn't me. It was this other person. Or no, it wasn't really a problem because I didn't do it, right? I'm blaming and I'm making excuses, right? Blaming and making excuses. When you always disagree with the criticism. Say, it's not my problem. I didn't do it, right? And they talk about self-esteem that is stable and self-esteem that is fragile, right? Do we know these two words? Stable and fragile?
Fragile, yes,
Fragile.
stable.
Stable is
So for
Oh, yeah, stable. Oh, okay.
stable comes from the noun stability, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. When something is very dependable, you say you can always trust it. You can have confidence. You say it's stable,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's always the same, right? So but if something is not stable, we could say it is fragile, right? Something that can easily break, right? So you sometimes see that on a box, right? They say fragile, do not break, right? Fragile. Something that can be easily broken. Glass is fragile, right? So you say, oh, I have a very old Christmas ornament from my grandmother. Be careful, it's very fragile, right? So the self-esteem is fragile means somebody, they have confidence, but as soon as somebody criticizes them, they get all crazy, right? They get all crazy. They're overly defensive. And they accuse the other team members for failing the presentation, right? It's your fault. It's not my problem. I didn't do it wrong, right? So that's the second tendency of somebody, to be very defensive if they have too much self-esteem. Very defensive. Okay, next one. Let's see, who hasn't read yet? I think everybody's read one, right?
Yes.
Okay, so Tomomi, can you read this last paragraph for us?
Okay. Self-confidence is a double-edged sword for several reasons. Similarly, while it is important to be confident, it is equally important to maintain some level of modesty. Modesty. While it is important to express opinions, it is equally important to listen to others. People will avoid those who believe themselves infallible. They will also avoid those who become defensive when others question their opinions. Overconfidence, as much as lack of self-confidence, can lead to a solitary lifestyle in both academic and career settings.
Very good. All right, so a couple of things here. They say it's a double-edged sword for several reasons. There's that expression again, double-edged sword, right? And here's while. You were practicing while with Miss Aguirre last week, right?
Yes.
For doing contrast, right?
Yeah.
Remember, we can use while to make a contrast, similar to although, right? While it is important to be confident, it is equally important to maintain a level of modesty. Do you have that word in Spanish, modest? In Spanish? Somebody is modest?
Yeah, similar.
Yeah. Tomomi and Jareen, can you guess the meaning of modest?
Modest, no.
Modest.
Many people say that Japanese are very modest people. They don't like to draw attention to themselves, right? That modesty means I don't want me to be the center of attention, right? So sometimes if I say, oh, Tomomi, you did a good job, and you say, oh, no, no, no. Or if I say, oh, Tomomi, your English is fantastic. Oh, no, 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 no. Right? That's being modest.
Yeah.
It's a very Japanese trait.
Yeah. All Japanese.
Yeah, that's right. That's the personality of Japanese people, right? To be modest, right?
Yeah.
Other countries, they're not so modest, right? Maybe Americans, not so modest. Certainly the president, not so modest, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm fantastic. I'm wonderful. I'm amazing, right? Yeah. So modest is the opposite of somebody who is always talking about themselves, right? So it's important to be confident, but it's also important to be modest, right? Saying, okay, maybe I don't know everything. Maybe I can work with others and get along. Okay? And it's important to express your opinion, but it's also important to listen, right? There's that word while again, just like you were practicing with Miss Aguirre. While for contrast. And people will avoid those who believe themselves infallible. Do you have that word in Spanish? Infallible?
Yes. Yes.
Explain to Jareen and Tomomi what it is, infallible.
Infallible is when the people, not the people, and anything, is when if the people attack, you can affect nothing.
Right, when you never make a mistake, you're infallible, right? I never make a mistake. So the people who believe they never make a mistake, infallible. They will avoid those who become defensive and question their opinions. And it says it can lead to a solitary lifestyle. What does that mean, solitary?
Alone?
Alone, right? All alone. Okay, wow, that's a big article. I'm going to send this copy to everybody if you don't have the book, so you can read it on your own and check the vocabulary. But let's see if we can answer some of the questions about it. All right. Let's see if we can see if we can answer the questions. Let's go to the next page, page 106, if you have your book. Can everybody see page 106?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Unit 2?
Yes,
Unit 2, yeah, page 106. Check your understanding. Let's go over these questions, and then we will be done for today. All right. What are the 3 dangers of too much self-confidence? All right. Number 1 was?
Sería stubborn.
You're very stubborn and you don't listen to other people, right? Right. That was 1. Number 2?
Blaming. Blaming or blaming? Blaming.
Blaming others, right? That's an example of self-confidence. But the danger is, number 1, nope, you don't listen to other people, right? Number 2, do people want to work with you or not?
No.
Nobody wants to work with you, right?
No.
And number 3, what about promotions? Do you get promotions?
No.
No, you don't get promotions, right? Right? And it says, why might a person not get promoted to a managerial level? Because they say, oh, that guy, nobody likes to work with him, right? Because he's very arrogant, right? He's very arrogant. Nobody wants to work with him, right? Let's see. Explain the study by Kernis, Lackey, and Hepner. Who were the participants and what were their conclusions? Well, let's look back at the previous page and let's see about that study. What did it say? Who did they talk to? This is in this paragraph right here. They talked to 100 undergraduate students, right? And what did they find out? If you have stable self-confidence, you don't get defensive. But if your self-esteem is fragile, You get very defensive, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's what they found out there. That people, if it depends on how, it's not depends on the level of confidence. It depends on how stable your confidence is. Okay. Let's see. According to the author, how can overconfidence affect interpersonal relationships? What did they say? If you are too confident, what happens? Nobody
Doesn't work.
Nobody wants to work with you, right? Nobody wants to work with you. Let's see. In the second sentence of the fourth paragraph, who does they refer to? Well, let's find it. Okay, we have the fourth paragraph. 1, 2, 3, 4. We're gonna, it says, let's see. Based on their interviews with 100 undergraduates, they concluded. Okay, who is they?
The undergraduate,
Undergraduated.
no?
Is it the undergraduates or is it the scientists?
Oh, the scientists.
The scientists,
The
right?
scientists.
Kearness, Lackey, and Hepner.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, those are the ones that made the conclusion, right? Good. All right, good. Back to this one. Okay. All right, here we have some vocabulary. Did we finish that? Yes, we finished that part. Part 2, vocabulary. All right, not enough. That's the word lack. And it means a lack of self-confidence. Okay, to be sure. What is the word that means to be sure?
Convinced.
Convinced.
Convinced, very good, convinced. So number 2 is convinced. Convinced. Disagreement. What's another word for disagreement from this group?
Conflict.
Conflict, right? A conflict between the people, right? A disagreement. Number 4, connected or related.
Relevant.
Relevant, exactly. It's not relevant, it's not connected, it's not related. Ideas or information. Input, right? So if I say, I would like your input, I would like your ideas. And to show,
Exhibit.
to exhibit.
Exhibit.
Very good. All right. Now, let's see. Ooh, there's some more academic words here, but then they have a chart that we don't have any room for. Colleague, consent, impose, outcome, perceive, and potential. A colleague is what?
Colleague is the person
Who works with you, right? So Ms. Aguirre is my colleague. Mr. Racina is my colleague. Mr. Proctor is my colleague, etc. Consent. What does it mean to consent?
Consent.
You have a permission.
Consent is when this is agree with the word.
When you consent, it means you accept something, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, sometimes your children will go on a field trip and you have to sign a parental consent form, right? Mm-hmm. Consent means when you say it's okay, when you agree with something, right? To consent.
Mm-hmm.
What about the word impose?
When you give the order.
Yeah.
Change.
When you impose something, it's like you don't let the other people talk about it. You say, this is my rule, right? So the boss imposed a rule, or the mayor imposed a restriction on the businesses, right? They didn't have a vote. He just said, this is what we're going to do. He imposed his restrictions. outcome. How about the word outcome?
Go out.
This is
Go out, no?
Another word for outcome is result. So I might say, what was the outcome of the game?
this.
What was the result of the game? What happened, right? The outcome. Perceive. When you perceive something, what do?
Sense.
You see it and you understand it, right? You perceive it. You see it and you understand it. You perceive it. And finally, the word potential. Potential means what?
Potential is a strong.
A potential is something that's possible, right? Yeah, we say, oh, he has the potential to be a very good student, right? It's possible. It's possible. Very good. All right, so let's see. I see by the clock that we're running a little low on time. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make copies of these pages, and I'm going to put them in your WhatsApp, or not your WhatsApp, your Remind app, and then I will send them to you, and you can look at them if you need more time to look at the vocabulary. Let me see here. Okay, here we go. All right, can everybody see me? Hello.
Yes.
Yes.
So that article was a little difficult, huh?
Yes.
That was not an easy article.
A lot of new
A lot of new vocabulary in that one. Yeah, that's why I'm going to send it to you to give you a little more time to read it. But the key point: don't have too much confidence. Don't have too little confidence. Have the right level. All right. If you are too confident, nobody likes you. If you don't have enough confidence, you never get anything done. Right? You got to have the perfect amount. Perfect amount of
difficult.
Yeah, it's very difficult, isn't it?
Yeah.
So you say, do I have too much or not enough? I don't know. It's a hard decision. Anyway, so I'm going to give you those articles that you can read on your phone if you don't have that book. Who doesn't? Alejandra, you have a book, but
Yes.
Maria, do you have a book?
No.
No. And Jareen, do you have the book?
No.
No. Okay, so I'll send you the article to read, and you can look at the vocabulary more closely and check your dictionaries and etc. All right, so like I said, so we have five classes left with me, right? Only 5, and then five more classes with Miss Aguirre. So 10 classes total for the rest of the semester. That's not too many, but like I said, I'm going to go over one little grammar thing each day. So we'll have a little review, because if, Alejandra, as you know, we got to the end of the book, right? Yeah, we did chapter 10 last week, so we finished the book, más o menos. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to jump around and choose things. Now, is there anything that you particularly want to practice, that you think, I need more practice on this?
I think the word so and as.
What's that?
When you use the word so and as, when the connect the sentence.
Oh, the connectors.
This is difficult for me because sometimes so you use for when quantifiers.
Cause and effect.
Or
Now,
yes.
now, you talked about did you talk about like due to and because of and all? What did you talk about with Miss Aguirre? Did you talk about only the contrast, or did you talk about cause and effect too?
Only all those cause and effect.
The contrast. Okay, so let's have another lesson about that on Thursday, okay?
Because sometimes as you can use similar to when you use the whereas.
Whereas.
Yes. This
Yeah.
word is
Yeah. Well, whereas and as are a little bit different. So yeah, we can talk about that.
only this, but others.
Yeah.
I sent you yesterday
Oh, yeah,
my homework about the memo.
Yeah, I got it.
Oh,
I got
okay.
it. I got it. I will read it and get it back to you today.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. All right. No problem. Any other questions? Everybody feeling good? Do we have enough energy for 10 more classes?
Yes.
Yeah.
No, and then there's going to be summer school, of course. That's going to be all online this year. And I don't know when they're going to do the registration for that. They should do it soon. I don't know what the plan is, but hopefully they will do it soon. Okay. So
one question, Mr. Webb. How give the exam for the final? Because in the past week I did in the Schoology program practice for the exam in Schoology, but the time is a lot of short time. It's only for practice in Schoology.
Right.
Rebecca give the exam.
Yeah, yeah.
It's difficult because it's a little time when write in the computer. Because some people couldn't use the typing fast, and when write the paragraph, the time finish.
Oh, writing a paragraph. What
It's about the census.
Oh, the census thing. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that was a time thing, right? Yeah, I'm
only
not
20 minutes.
Oh, you only had 20 minutes to write it?
Yes, in the
terrible.
first time 25. Yeah, I not finish all question because in the first part is 18 question only half.
You got that practice test from Miss Aguirre, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I'll have to talk to her about it because I don't know anything about that test. But I will. I told everybody maybe before you came, but I'm gonna on Thursday I'm gonna give you a practice test for your level, and and for you to do for the grammar. And then if we do a writing test, it's not going to be timed. Yeah, I'm going to talk to Miss Aguirre about it. We have to work together because I officially when it comes to testing, you're Miss Aguirre's students and I'm the helper teacher. But
Thursday.
What?
You will have the test on Thursday, right?
No, but it'll just be it'll be in Schoology on Thursday. You can do it anytime you want.
Yeah, because I think my store will open. I need to go back to work.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. All right. Well, you can still do it on Schoology anytime you have free time.
Yeah.
Okay. Other question, Mr. Webb. Will you give the exam about the CASAS test?
No, we're not going to have any CASAS, I don't think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I think we're just going to use the old CASAS scores. Yeah, because the CASAS test, you have to take it on a special computer, and we don't have any of that software here. So there won't be any CASAS test. There'll be I'll give you a practice grammar test, and we've already done a couple practice writings, so there'll probably be a writing test. But again, you can do it on paper and just take a photo and send it.
Oh, okay, yeah, because it's difficult typing.
Because there was you only had 20 minutes to type.
Yeah.
Yes, but
it's difficult, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, because some people are better typers than other people.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you're a good typer, maybe you can do it in 20 minutes. But if you don't type fast or you don't think fast, 20 minutes is not enough, right?
Yeah.
20 minutes.
That's true.
It's crazy. Because for the census, you had to write the letter, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
A letter to the girl who didn't want to take the census. And
Yes.
Yeah, we did that one before in class, but it's a lot easier when you're writing a letter.
Yes, you're writing when you're
writing a letter with your pencil. It's a lot easier.
Yeah.
For sure. All right. Well, I'm sorry that you didn't get enough time, but I'm going to talk to Miss Aguirre about. I'm definitely going to give you a practice grammar test this week.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're
Because
going to get one definitely in your Schoology folder for you to take. So that's going to come this week.
okay, thank you.
And then I'll give you a fresh grammar test probably next week for the final. Okay. And again, you're going to do that on Schoology, and it won't be timed.
Okay.
Okay.
No timing.
Yeah, no.
Okay.
But okay.
Okay.
Okay, thank
All
you.
right.
Thank you,
All
Mr.
right.
Okay.
Well, that's it. It's my goodness. It's almost 11 o'clock.
Okay.
No.
Class
Thank
is
you. Thank
over.
you for help
So
us.
I'm going to send you that article and the questions about the article right now, and then I'll see you again on Thursday, and we'll practice cause and effect a little bit more. Okay.
Yep.
Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
All right. Thank you,
Bye,
everybody.
everyone.
We'll see
Bye,
you
everybody.
on Thursday.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, thank you,
All
Mr.
right.
Webb.
Bye bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.